How are you? Hope well, fine and great by the grace of God. So in today's class we are going to see the processing and storing of data. Before we start, we all know that computer is very important in today's life. In today's world, computer is very important. So the computer are all around us, from desktop to smartphone, tablet, mobiles. All are these are what? Computers. Changing the way we live our life. So this computer has completely changed our life. It helped us. It has made our life easier. But have you ever asked, what exactly is a computer? Have you ever asked yourself what exactly is a computer? So let us see. So a computer is an electronic device that manipulates information or data. Very simple answer. So here we can say manipulate. What do you mean by manipulate? Now here, what does the computer do? The computer control what? Informations or data. So manipulate means what? We can say control, or we can say handle. Any one of these you can say. So what does the computer do? A computer control information or data that we have fed from an input device. We all know that computer has three basic principles, yes or no? Computer works on three basic principles. Let us see. This is what? IPO. That is input, processing, output. So these are the three basic principles on which our computer work. Input, processing, output, which is also known as IPO. As the answer arises that a computer is an electronic device that manipulate information and data. So whatever data or information that we feed inside the computer is called what? Input. It may be what? Number, word, pictures, videos, etc. All of these numbers, word, pictures, videos, etc. are what? Information. This information is fed with the help of some input device through input unit. So input unit, what do you mean by input unit? Input unit takes the input in the form of data and instruction. When you type A, so this A is what? This A is a data, or we can say information. We have given this A information to the computer. So an input unit takes input in the form of data and instruction. For example, whatever letters or numbers we type from keyboard, that numbers or letters or alphabet is known as what? Data. Okay, that data is taken by the computer. So let us see as an example. Now for example, when you feed any information, like for example here you can say A and we can see a picture, yes or no? These are what? These are the data that we have feed inside the CPU. So whatever data we feed with the help of some input device, it goes where? Inside the CPU. That is brain. CPU is the brain of computer. So whatever input we feed, it goes where? To the brain. For what? For processing. So processing is done where? Processing is done on CPU. So here, after we feed any information or data, it goes inside the CPU. So inside the CPU, it converts the data that we have feed into its own language. Okay. So whatever data we have fed it from any input device, it goes inside the brain. So the brain of computer convert that data into its own language, that is binary language, which is 1 and 0 or 0 or 1. As we all know that computer don't understand what? English, don't understand Chinese, don't understand Hindi, Assamese, whatever language. Computer don't understand. Computer understand only its own language. So what the computer do? The computer take the data and convert into its own language, that is binary, and finally it shows the result as output on the monitor screen. That is the output device. So monitor is what? Monitor is an output device. So I think it is clear, yes or no? At first, what it does? At first, we feed a data from any input device, and then it went into the CPU. Then the CPU converted this data into 1 and 0, so that it can understand, and it shows the final result where the monitor screen, that is the output. So if the question comes, what is the function of input unit? So the function of input unit is what? Accept information and program, and then it convert the data into the language the computer understand, and at last it shows the final result on the monitor screen. This way input processing output work. So these are the three basic principles on which the computer work, that is input, processing, output. So as we all know that CPU is the brain of computer. Every computer system has a brain. Even your mobile phone also has a brain, which is known as what? CPU. This CPU also has one more name. What is that? These are, or we can say, microprocessor. Keep in mind. So before we proceed forward, CPU is also known as processor or microprocessor. What is the function of CPU? Now, what is the function of CPU? As previously I have explained about IPO, that is input processing output. Here, if question is asked, what is the function of CPU? The CPU takes data from input. Yes or no? In order to get the output, obviously we have to take the input. Or in order to have the processing inside the brain, we need what? Input. Without input, nor processing nor output is shown. So whatever is going on inside the brain is not very important. The main thing is what? We should know how the computer takes data. It takes the data in the form of input. It converts that data into its own language, and at last it shows the output. So the function of CPU is to take data from input unit and process it according to the instruction given by the program written in the language which a computer can understand. And also it handles and directs most of the tasks that occur inside the computer. CPU consists of three parts: ALU, control unit, and memory unit. So let us see now these three parts. So as we all know that CPU consists of how many units? 3 units. That is ALU, arithmetic logic unit, control unit, and the memory unit. So what is ALU? What do you mean by arithmetic and logic unit? What is the use of this part? So let us see. ALU stands for arithmetic logic unit. It is the internal part of the processor, that is CPU. ALU is the internal part of what? CPU, which is used for all mathematical and logical operation, such as what? Addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, less than and greater than, etc. So whatever mathematical operation or logical operation is done in this unit, you can see the blinking symbols on the screen. These are known as what? Operators, which is used for mathematical operations like plus, minus, division, subtraction, equal, less than, greater than. So these are known as operators. So next we have control unit. Now what is control unit? So this part is the most important part of the processor. It controls everything that happens inside the computer, whatever things is going on while processing, or while taking data from input, or while showing data in through output. All these things is controlled by this unit. That's why the name control unit. Why? Because it is the most important part of the CPU. It controls everything that happens inside the computer. It is responsible for the flow of data from input device to the processor and from the processor to the output. So whatever we feed the input devices, the job of control unit is to take the data from input unit and transfer to a processor, and from processor to output unit. So for that reason only, this control unit is the most important part of the brain, that is a CPU. So next we have memory unit. A computer can remember everything that you feed into it through its memory unit. So it also remember the instruction that you store into it. So whatever you do in your computer, for example, if you're doing something in Paint program, or you are typing something in Word program, all these are temporarily saved in memory. For that reason, memory is also very important. So memory are of two types. One is primary and the second one is secondary memory. Now we'll see the primary memory. So what are primary memory? Primary memory actually are those memory which are inside the computer. Inside the computer, okay. Primary memory are not outside. It is inside the computer. And primary memory is divided into two parts, that is permanent and temporary. So what is permanent? Permanent is what? ROM. And temporary is what? RAM. Temporary. Now what is ROM? ROM is permanent memory. Data are stored here forever. After you shut down your computer, it can remember things forever. The data in ROM are non-volatile. It cannot be changed or added. That's why the name read-only memory. And next we'll see RAM. RAM is temporary memory because data are stored here temporary till your computer is switched on. Once you switch off your computer, it forget everything. So the data in RAM is volatile, which store information only as long as the computer has power. If the question comes, explain the type of memory, then you can write this answer. Okay, there are two types of memories. One is permanent and second one is temporary. You can pause the video and you can write. And next, the difference between ROM and RAM. If the question is asked, write the difference between RAM and RAM, you can write this. You can write this points. Okay, you can write this points for the difference of RAM and ROM. And next we have secondary storage. Now, as we all know that in primary memory we cannot store what? Large data. So we use what? We use secondary storage. Secondary storage or memory device. Secondary storage is also known as what? Memory device, which are meant for what? Storing information permanently. We can store large quantities of data. Now, as we all know that we cannot store data in primary memory, so we use what? External. We use what? Secondary storage. We use hard disks to store data in computers. Why we use hard disks? So that we can store large amount of data. Even your pictures, movies, videos, songs, file, whatever data, if you want to store, we need the what? We need a storage device. So this hard disk is used to store data in computer. Many secondary storage devices are there around us. Anything you can use. But most of us, we use what? We use pen drive so that we can store data there, and we can take the pen drive wherever we go, and we can use wherever we want. So I think till here it is clear, student. So whatever explanation I have explained, just try to listen it nicely again and again, and whatever notes I have given or whatever answer I have said here, you just pause the video and try to write that one. It will help you. So if any doubt is there, you can ask me, you can text. I will clear it for you. So for today, I thank you all. God bless you. Stay safe. Take care.